Welcome back to the program. Now, as we've discussed on Saturday Agenda previously, there is an ongoing Victorian Fraud Squad investigation into the AWU affair. And this is quite significant because of its nature, it must actually involve the Prime Minister, that is Julia Gillard's role in this affair back in the mid-90s, of course, just before she entered Parliament. We've covered this issue before and spoken to Grace Collier, the Financial Review columnist who's written about this previously, and we've had comments from the Prime Minister's office saying, of course, that she has not been contacted by this investigation and has nothing really to add. It's gone a step further this week with a radio broadcaster from 2GB, Ben Fordham, telling his listeners very clearly, after some contact to him from the Victorian Fraud Squad, he has said that the Prime Minister of Australia, Julia Gillard, is under investigation by police. This is a fact. Now, he shared this with his audience and gone into some detail about how it came about. He said the Prime Minister's office may not even know about this investigation if they haven't been contacted as yet. I've put in some questions to the Prime Minister's office yesterday and haven't had a response yet. We just really want to find out whether they've had any contact from this investigation as yet. Matt Thistlethwaite, this is very significant, isn't it? Without overstating it, obviously this investigation has to run its course, but if it's actually looking into the activities of the Prime Minister, what do you know about it?
Well, I don't know anything, Chris, but I think Julia Gillard's fully answered all of these questions in two significant press conferences in Canberra. She said that the matter's concluded, and I think that's the approach that
the matter's not concluded because the police are investigating. The Victorian Fraud Squad are investigating this, and the Victorian Police Commissioner has confirmed that this investigation's ongoing. It seems to be a matter of some public interest if these investigations actually involve the role of the Prime Minister.
Chris, whenever I travel around New South Wales and meet with members of the public, they've never raised this issue with me once. They certainly want to talk about education reform. They certainly want to talk about National Disability Insurance Scheme. They're certainly talking about the issues that we discussed earlier regarding the fiscal position of the nation. But they're not talking about this issue. I think the Prime Minister's answered to the fullest extent possible all of the speculation and questions regarding this issue. And I don't see any benefit in us raking over this again and dealing with it, because it's not an issue that comes up day to day in national discourse in Australian politics.
It's not a massive issue in day-to-day discourse, as I say, but I just want to say to our viewers, I think it's a matter of some public interest and import that we know about this, that we know what's going on. A lot of media don't want to mention it, they avoid it. I want to share with our viewers the fact that this is going on. At some stage it may become quite relevant. We await the outcome. I now just want to go to another issue, and that's the intervention of Clive Palmer into federal politics this week. He's had a lot to say, saying he's going to run candidates right around the country. One of the things I thought was quite damaging to the Liberal Party, the Liberal National Party, was that Clive Palmer has said that lobbyists have too much influence on politics, that they basically pay for access and get the decisions out of politicians they want. Now, given Clive Palmer's close involvement and, in fact, bankrolling at times of the Liberal National Party's Josh Frydenberg, this is quite damaging, really, if this is how he thinks that the Liberal Party, the Liberal National Party, operates.
Not at all. Look, Clive Palmer is, a bigger-than-life figure, I suppose, and anybody's entitled to run for office, and, let's see what the Australian voters think of that. But there is the Katter Australia Party now. There's the, Clive Palmer's party. They'll probably split each other's vote and fight it out. But at the end of the day, the Australian people want a change in government, and the party that will deliver that is the coalition, the Liberal National Coalition. We've done the hard work, we've got the policies, we've got the personnel, and hopefully after September 14th we've got the opportunity to deliver better government for Australia.
Well, on the other side of politics, Matt Thistlethwaite, Simon Crean has spoken in some detail about the background to the leadership tensions last month. He says it seems they were planned for many months. This wasn't just a sudden brain snap, as some have dismissed it, that there was a lot of planning went into trying to unseat Julia Gillard.
Look, Simon's a person that I've got a lot of respect for. I think he's been a great Labor leader, both as President of the ACTU and leader of our party, and he instituted a lot of positive reform of the Labor Party. But I will say, on this issue, Simon Crean is wrong. And I think that's been borne out by the position that the caucus has taken on the leadership. We support Julia Gillard. We believe that she's the best person to lead us to the next election, and that's been my approach all along, and I've been consistent on this issue. I don't believe in the revolving door of leadership.
Simon Crean, of course, used to look after regional affairs, and the government's announcing a package today to assist farmers. More election spending.
Look, our farmers do it tough, and they deserve our support, particularly when it relates to food security. And the package that's being announced today by the Minister, Joseph Ludwig, will ensure security, long-term security, for farmers and their financial position. A package of low-interest loans to restructure debt and boost productivity. It's the right thing to do at the moment, given how tough farmers have been doing it.
Well, Josh Frydenberg, you probably haven't had a chance to have a close look at this yet. Does this sound like something that the coalition would support, or are you worried, again, it's excessive election year spending?
Well, the devil's in the details, so I'll need to have a close look at this policy. But again, you know, if the government is serious about helping farmers, they're going to get rid of the carbon tax, because farmers, you know, use electricity, and this has driven up the cost of electricity for farmers in their production. If they're serious about helping farmers with food security and their exports, then what they'll do is get some free trade agreements, but they've failed to get any free trade agreements, as well as reducing regulation. Just
before we let you go, Josh Frydenberg, in this Anzac week, you've suggested that the late General Monash should be honoured posthumously with the title of Field Marshal.
Absolutely. Sir John Monash was our greatest citizen soldier. He was the outstanding commander on the Western Front, leading all 5 divisions, Australian divisions at Amiens. This would be a posthumous recognition. Billy Hughes had it in for John Monash, partly because of his Prussian Jewish background, but also because he saw him as a bit of a threat. King George V knighted Monash on the battlefield, the first time this has happened in over 200 years, and when he died, over 250,000 Victorians turned out to Monash's funeral.
Indeed they did, and Matt Thistlethwaite, the government happy to have a quick look at that?
Look, I'm not the Defence Minister, but I will say, in my view, that's a proposal that is very worthy of consideration. A fine Australian leader, a military commander who was a linchpin in the Allied victory in World War I.
Oh, nice to end on a note of agreement there. Thank you both, gentlemen, for joining us today. We are out of time. I did want to get to the issue of domestic terrorism, but join me tomorrow night on Viewpoint. I'll certainly take that up with the Attorney-General, Mark Dreyfus. See you then.